The Little Prince. Once when I was 6 years old, I saw a magnificent picture in a book called True Stories of the Virgin Forest. It showed the boa constrictor swallowing a wild beast. Here is a copy of the drawing. In the book it said, boa constrictors swallow their prey whole without chewing. Afterwards, they are unable to move and they digest by going to sleep for 6 months. This made me think a lot about the adventures of the jungle, and eventually I succeeded with a colored pencil in making my first drawing. My drawing number 1, it looked like this. I showed my masterpiece to the grown-ups and asked if my drawing frightened them. Why would it have frightened you anyone? They answered. My drawing was not a hat. It was a boa constrictor digesting an elephant, so then I drew the inside of the boa constrictor for the benefit of the grown-ups. Grown-ups always need explanations. My drawing number 2 looked like this. The grown-ups now advise me to give up drawing boa constrictor altogether from the inside or the outside and devote myself instead of geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. So it was that, at the age of 6, I gave up a wonderful career as a painter. I have been discouraged by the failure of my drawing number 1 and my drawing number 2. Grown-ups never understand anything by themselves, and it is exhausting for children always and forever to be giving explanations. I had to choose a different career then, so I learned how to fly airplanes. I have flown all over the world, and geography, I will admit, has served me very well. At a glance, I can distinguish China from Arizona, which is very useful if you get lost in the night. In the course of my life, I have therefore had many dealings with many important people. I have lived a great deal among grown-ups. I have observed them from close-up. This has not greatly improved my opinion of them. Whenever I came across one who seemed to be at all clear-headed, I would try showing my drawing number 1, which I always kept by me. I wanted to find out if this was somebody with real understanding. But the answer would always be, that is a hat, in which case I would not talk to that person about boa constrictors or virgin forests or stars. I would place myself on their level. I would talk about bridge and golf, about politics and neckties, and the grown-ups would be very pleased to have made the acquaintance of such a sensible fellow. So I kept my company, without anyone whom I could really talk to until 6 years ago, when I made a forced landing in the Sahara Desert. Something had broken in my engine, and as I had neither mechanic nor passengers with me, I braced myself to attempt a difficult repair job all alone. It was a matter of life or death. I had barely enough drinking water to last week. On the first night, then, I went to sleep on the sand 1,000 miles from all human habitation. I was more isolated than a shipwrecked man on a raft in mid-ocean. So imagine my surprise to be woken at daybreak by a funny little voice saying, "If you please, draw me a sheep." What? Draw me a sheep? I leaped to my feet, completely thunderstruck. I rubbed my eyes slowly. I looked around slowly. And then I saw a most extraordinary little fellow who stood there solemnly watching me. Here is the best likeness later on I was able to make of him. The drawing is certainly far less delightful than the original, but that is not my fault. I had been discouraged by the grown-ups in my career as a painter when I was 6 years old, and had never learned to draw anything except the inside of boas and the outside of boas. Now I was staring at this appreciation before me, my eyes popping out of my head. Remember, I was 1,000 miles from all human habitation, yet this little fellow seemed neither to have lost his way nor to be dying or exhaustion, or hunger or thirst or fright. Nothing about him suggested a child estuary in the middle of the desert, 1,000 miles from all human habitation. When I finally found the voice, I said, But what are you doing here?" To which it merely repeated, very slowly as though it were a matter of a great consequence, "If you please, draw me a sheep." When the mystery is too overwhelming, you do not dare to question it. Absurd as it might seem to be 1,000, here's the best likeness that, later on, I was able to make of him. Miles from any inhabited place, and in danger of death, I took a sheet of paper and a fountain pen out of my pocket. Then I remembered that at school I had only properly studied geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. So I told the little fellow with a touch of irritation that I didn't know how to draw. He replied, "That doesn't matter. Draw me a sheep." As I had never drawn a sheep before, I copied for him one or the two pictures that I did not know how to draw. The boa constrictor, seen from the outside, and I was astounded to hear the little fellow say, "No, no, no, I don't need an elephant inside a boa constrictor. Boas are very dangerous and elephants are very cumbersome. Where I came from, everything is tiny. What I need is a sheep. Draw me a sheep." So I drew him one. He studied it carefully, then he said, "No, that one is already very sickly. Do me another." So I drew another. My friend smiled gently, even indulgently. "Surely you can see for yourself that that's not a sheep. That's a ram. Look at his horn." So I did my drawing once more, but it was too rejected. Like the others, this one is too old. I want a sheep who lives long with me. My patience was now exhausted, for I was in a hurry to start dismantling my engine, so I rapidly scribbled the drawing you see below. Then I added by way of explanation, "That is his box, the sheep you wanted inside." And much to my surprise, I saw the face of my young judge light up. "That's exactly how I want him. Do you think this sheep will need a lot of grass?" "Why?" "Because where I came from, everything is tiny." "Oh, there's bound to be enough. I have given you a tiny sheep." He bent over the drawing. "He's not as small as that. Look, he's gone to sleep." And so it was like I made acquaintance of the little prince.